112-106. The Knicks get the win over the Celtics in a fun game. Celtics made a comeback in the third quarter, had the lead there in the fourth. Josh Hart, though, making some big shots down the stretch to give New York the victory. Tom Giles, Scal, Eddie House joining us here on Celtics Postgame Live. Eddie, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on what you saw tonight, your overall takeaway from this one?
Well, I didn't think we had a great first half, and then they ended the second quarter and started the third quarter on a 10-0 run. But we made our own run. I thought it was a good basketball game. It was back and forth, but we had some very uncharacteristic turnovers in the fourth quarter. And I think those are the things that cost us. We did not get an opportunity to even get a shot. You talk about when Peyton lost the ball a couple times, and then that pass across when Jason Tatum passed to him, he lost the ball right there. Derek White could knock down the shot. But Baylor Shireman, I thought Baylor Shireman was fantastic tonight, and he kept us in the game in that fourth quarter by knocking down a whole bunch of threes. But we just couldn't get to stop. And I also would say this. You got to give the Knicks a lot of credit because we didn't have a switching unit out there. And I think at the end of that game, we should have had a switching unit that could switch and not have to be in a drop coverage or be where we did switch and it's a mismatch somewhere where Jalen Brunson's getting a mismatch and the big is a little late getting back to Josh Hart because he had a hell of a game as well.
Yeah, I mean, those Josh Hart threes, uncharacteristic, yet he still made them. So you got to tip your hat to him on that. I thought it was a well-fought game. I really wanted to see Tatum kind of break out, like put the whole demons behind him and stuff like that. But I don't know how he feels. Maybe we'll get him in postgame and we'll find out, if he was thinking about things. He had sort of a misstep in that fourth quarter, right around the same area where he did do the Achilles. So just an interesting game. But I think Eddie's right. Like, give the Knicks a ton of credit. They handled the barrage from Baylor Shireman, and they still made big plays, whether it's Jalen Brunson or Josh Hart, or even early on in that game, Karl-Anthony Towns. So Knicks did well. If for everybody wonder, I mean, obviously we'll have Jaylen Brown. But I feel like you watch the Knicks defense, and if we play them in a series, it's going to be a real series. It's not going to be a cakewalk for us because we got all of our guys back. Like, the Knicks are tough defensively. They make shots. So for me, from a playoff standpoint, it'll be something that I would look forward to because two teams that are really grimy playing it out in the playoffs is what the NBA is all about.
What makes them so tough defensively in New York?
Well, you just saw in that fourth quarter, they raised their level. They're physical. When OG Anunoby's into the ball, Bridges does a good job of using his length. They protect Jalen Brunson. They do have holes and weaknesses, but you got to make sure you're exploiting those. Get the matchup you want, exploit that matchup.
Okay, let's go through the sorry.
Real quick.
Yeah.
How many times did Mitchell Robinson tie somebody up so they had a jump ball? So handsy team, very handsy, very physical. All of those things right there, it would lead to one of those great series. And, those could be a 6-7 game series depending on how somebody takes care of business early on in that season and possibly who has home court advantage.
And then you look at how this one finished, because that's really what it came down to, is back and forth throughout the fourth quarter. But Baylor Shireman, who Eddie mentioned, this was the Baylor Shireman game, gave the Celtics a 2-point lead at 101-99. Knicks responds after the game was tied up. Jalen Brunson knocking down this long two. That gave New York the 103-101 advantage. Baylor Shireman answers again.
He loves that shot right there, peeling out of the corner. He went 4 for 4 in the fourth quarter, 3 of them for 3.
So that gave the Celtics a 1-point lead, but that's a great feed. Jalen Brunson to Josh Hart. So the Knicks go back up by 1. And Celtics needing a response after Jalen Brunson hit a free throw. It's Derek White for the 3 and the lead. Can't hit that. Nikola Vucevic tried to tap it out. Nothing doing. And here's the first of the 2 big threes by Josh Hart. That one gave the Knicks a 5-point lead after Vucevic had a tip-in, a putback. Josh Hart with the second 3, the last bucket of the game. That gave New York the 112-106 lead. Eddie, your thoughts?
That drop coverage right there is killing us, especially when you got a guy like Jalen Brunson who is an excellent point guard who can read and manipulate. Like that pass he made to Josh Hart, it was so much confusion. Let's not just talk about the confusion that happened at the point of attack. There was confusion. Derek White kind of leaned in, then he had to lean back out. But then if you look on the strong side, there was confusion there. And then Jason Tatum didn't know to help or to get to the corner. Do I protect the rim or do I get to the corner and protect the three once Josh Hart got it? Now, I'm thinking to myself, well, Josh Hart's going to have to go up, jump up, turn all the way around, and try to throw it through Jason Tatum. But because it was so much confusion and we got manipulated in the pick and roll because we were in drop coverage and we didn't have the opportunity to switch. Now, I will say this. If Jaylen Brown is out there and I don't care about Karl Anthony Towns having the size advantage. He does a lot of pick and popping, right? He's not really looking to put his back to the basket. Every once and again he does. He does pick and pop and he does pick and roll. But you could cover that if you have switchable guys. But if you're playing a drop coverage, it's pretty damn tough to guard them because they're going to get open shots. And we've seen Josh Hart, once he started knocking down them open shots, it's like any professional out there. You start knocking down one, you knock down that other, that basket get bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's nothing you could do about it. Even with Vucevic contested him on that last shot, it didn't matter.
So we talked about, maybe gamesmanship playing a role in this game. It felt like, the Celtics were playing to win this game. There's no doubt about that. But do you think they make that adjustment if and when they see the Knicks again where you don't see that drop coverage?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of agree with Eddie. If we're playing this game with Jaylen Brown is a defensive equalizer. You could put him on a big. You could have him switch. You could put Tatum in the action. You could switch Tatum and Brown. I feel like you probably won't be Vucevic late in the fourth quarter against a guy like Josh Hart. So, did we lose the game? Yes. Did we show our full hand with Jaylen Brown not playing? No. Right? So, if they think that they're going to be able to do that the next time, it's probably not going to happen. But there are other things that can open up as well. And I don't know what they could have done. If they would have switched that, then Brunson would have been one-on-one against Vucevic. That would have been, you couldn't get hurt from that as well. But, Josh Hart is 41%, but a lot of people give him wide open shots. So that's 41% on their shots, but he made 2 clutch ones.
Okay, he makes the clutch.
But I wasn't talking about like switching with Vucevic. I'm talking about him being on the bench and us having guys that are switchable. You know what I mean? Like you can't. That could be able to say, like you said, the versatility of Jaylen Brown. He can guard Karl Anthony Towns if he has to. He's physical enough to do that. He can move his feet good enough, and he has enough size, and he's strong enough to stay in front of a Jalen Brunson. So to me, when I look at those, that's the lineups that I'm talking about, where you could get switchable guys. And sometimes it might not be a Kata or a Vucevic night. Maybe they get some minutes, but once you start seeing things get exposed, especially in the playoffs, once you get exposed in the playoffs, they're not going to stop doing it. And we got exposed on the drop coverage tonight. So you don't think that they're going to go back into the lab. They're going to look at that and say, oh, this is what we could do a lot of if they run this. And then Jalen Brunson, he's going to look at the film and he's going to understand, okay, I got so much I can do. And it was one play where they ran a double screen, right? It looked like it was a dummy screen first, and then the big came, and they got exactly what they wanted, and they ended up getting a 3. And so those are the little small things that I'm looking at, because in the playoffs, you're going to see different looks. They're going to disguise it, but you're going to get the same exact action at the end of it.
Okay. Well, we're just getting started here on Celtics Postgame Live as we got you through the last few minutes of that game, but plenty went into it. We're going to hand out a Tommy Award. And one well-deserving guy of that. Celtics fall in this one 112-106. Knicks take the season series 3 out of 4. Quick break. We're back for more here on Celtics Postgame Live.
Celtics Postgame Live is presented by your New England Ford dealers and Ford Trucks, America's best-selling trucks for 49 years.